And now the mind may think, something must really be wrong. The cycle continues. Notice what has happened. The original noise started the process, but after that, the thoughts themselves began to contribute to the continuation of the emotional reaction. This relationship between situation, interpretation, bodily reaction, emotion, and subsequent behavior is also recognized in modern psychological models of emotional reaction cycles. Emotion and thought can reinforce each other. This is why understanding emotions is so important. Sometimes the original event is no longer producing the emotional reaction directly. Instead, our own thoughts about the event are helping to maintain it. For example, someone may receive a critical comment. The first reaction may be disappointment. Then the person begins thinking, they don't respect me. Then nobody respects me. Then people always treat me badly. The original comment was one event, but the chain of thoughts can turn that one event into a much larger emotional experience. This does not mean that every emotional reaction is caused by incorrect thinking. It means that thoughts can become part of the emotional process. Modern psychological approaches also recognize that the way a person interprets a stressful situation can influence the emotional response. Why is this understanding important? Understanding this process gives us something very valuable. It allows us to look at an emotional reaction and ask, what started this emotion? Was it something happening outside me? Was it something remembered from the past? What happened to my body? What thoughts appeared after the emotion? And are those thoughts describing what is actually happening, or are they adding something to the original situation? These questions can help us understand ourselves better. The first step is not necessarily to fight the emotion. The first step is to understand what is happening. 3 ways of looking at emotion. The final part of the chapter presents 3 formulations. The author's definition is shown as emotion equals emotion. The Tibetan definition is shown as emotion equals emotion. And the Western definition is shown as emotion equals emotion plus emotion. These formulations are presented in the original chapter, and I will leave them for the audience to consider rather than trying to reinterpret them here. Conclusion. Let us now bring the discussion together. Emotions are a natural part of human life. They can be triggered by something happening around us. They can also be triggered by memories stored within us. An emotional reaction can appear very quickly. The emotion can be reflected in our face. It can affect our heart rate and breathing. It can cause sweating and other bodily changes. Strong emotions can also influence the way we receive and interpret information through our senses. And perhaps most importantly, a strong emotional state can temporarily interfere with rational thinking and judgment. We have also seen that emotion and thought can form a cycle. A perceived threat can produce an emotion. The emotion produces bodily changes. We become aware of those changes. Thoughts arise. Those thoughts can produce further bodily changes. And those changes can strengthen the emotion again. So an emotional reaction can sometimes become a self-reinforcing cycle. Understanding this does not mean that we should suppress every emotion. Emotions are part of being human. Rather, the important thing is to become more familiar with what happens when an emotion arises. When anger appears, can we recognize it? When fear appears, can we notice what is happening in the body? When negative thoughts arise, can we recognize that they are thoughts rather than immediately accepting every thought as fact. And when we understand the process clearly, can we give ourselves enough space to examine the situation before acting? These questions take us beyond simply knowing what an emotion is. They take us towards understanding our own emotional behavior. And that is why understanding the basis of emotions is an important step towards understanding ourselves. Thank you for listening.